This is the ASUS Zenfone 8, the compact flagship we all claim we want. So what are the things that you need to know about this phone before you go out and buy it? This isn't going to be one of those long reviews that covers every aspect of this phone. However, I'm going to try and focus on the things that you really need to know before you pick one up, and whether it's going to be a perfect fit for you or not. Let me start by saying this is probably one of the best, most complete, all-rounded compact phones you can buy. So any particular spec that you might be looking for is probably available on this, whether it comes to the top of the range Snapdragon 888 processor, plenty of RAM, up to 16 in fact, or plenty of storage with up to 256 gigabytes. It even includes a couple of things you don't expect, like a headphone jack on such a compact form factor, as well as a notification LED light at the bottom. Even the screen is fantastic. Yeah, it's only a 1080p panel, but at 5.9 inches you honestly don't need any more than that. Plus, the display has all the bells and whistles that you expect on a flagship. So it's an AMOLED panel that has a 120Hz refresh rate, so it's pretty good. And even the camera setup on this phone is really good. So you get a 64 megapixel main shooter, which honestly can capture good images in almost any lighting conditions. And then you have a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera, which is also decent. I would say the camera setup on this and the images it produces would satisfy about 99.999% of users. Now, as for the design, it's definitely a bit on the bland side, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. Sure, if you show this phone to your friends, I don't think any of them will be impressed, but you really can't fault it because it does feel like a quality product. I personally prefer something with a bit more flair, but if you're looking for something understated and just very minimal, then this will perfectly do. And if you're choosing between the two color options available, I would recommend the silver over the black because I definitely think it looks a bit more interesting. And outside of the lack of wireless charging, I don't think there's any feature that you'll find on an ultra flagship that is missing from this one. Maybe the lack of expandable storage, but then again, that's gone missing in a lot of flagship devices as well. My only two complaints about the hardware are that front-facing camera, which has a silver ring around it, which honestly is a bit counterintuitive because you're trying to get the front camera to blend in with the display, and this one ends up sticking out. And the second thing is the under-display fingerprint scanner. Not that it's terrible by any means, it works 90% of the time, but I much prefer having a side-mounted fingerprint scanner these days because it's just more reliable and you can reach it without having to look at the phone. And when you're in a bright environment outdoors, sometimes it doesn't work from the first try. As for the software, I think they've done such a good job with this one. So at a glance, you might think that this is running on a stock Android experience. However, ASUS added a lot of their own features into the UI, and I think most of it is quite practical and offers nice customization for people who want a bit more fine-tuning over the stock Android experience. So things such as the advanced battery saver modes, or the gaming mode, or even the one-handed mode. Now, this all sounds very good, but there are definitely some compromises that you need to be aware of. The number one aspect that is a bit compromised on this is the battery life. And no, just because it has a smaller, lower resolution display doesn't mean that it sort of balances the fact that it has a smaller battery capacity as well. It does help, but what you need to know is that this device will not last you for more than a single day of usage. So on average, you'll get about 4 hours of screen on time if you're depending heavily on 5G, and up to 6 hours screen on time if you're using Wi-Fi. Now, those are not bad numbers by any means. However, they're definitely between 20 and 30% less than what you can get on a bigger flagship with a bigger battery. And the second aspect is heat management. The Snapdragon 888 chipset is notorious for running quite hot. And because this has a smaller form factor and the chipset is usually located on the top half of the device, it just means that there's a bit less space between where you put your hand and where the device is getting warm. So you can go ahead and blame it on physics. But this also means that if you're a power user or a very heavy user or even a gamer, I don't think this is a fantastic option for you. Yes, the Snapdragon 888 can offer excellent performance, but the fact that it gets quite warm and it's quite close to your hand means that it definitely can get a bit uncomfortable if you're gaming or doing some heavy tasks for a long period of time. And even though the device has a performance mode, I would definitely completely avoid using it at all. Okay, so who is this phone for? It's for someone looking for the most complete, compact flagship, and put 3 lines under compact. And it's honestly pretty awesome to use such a powerful device with just one hand without any issues. However, if you're a power user or somebody who spends a lot of time on their phone throughout the day, then sadly I think you might be making too much of a compromise by choosing to go with a compact flagship over something that's a bit bigger and can dissipate heat a bit better and definitely has better battery life. Who is this phone not for? It's definitely not for gamers, it's definitely not for heavy users, power users, people who spend a lot of time on their phone throughout the day. Anyways, that's it from me. I hope you guys found this video useful. If you did, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying my content, and I shall see you in the next one.